But all right, so I just started. But yeah, my life kind of runs on like when she's napping or like when I can step away.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
How have you been?
Hashtag dad life. I'm good, man. Just like busy, just balancing attending life and then being
Mm.
a small business owner, you know what I mean? And just find my uh doctor identity and just getting all these natural organic relationships and collaborations is beautiful,
Yeah.
you know. 2.5 years in, man. Like I've just only been home for that long. So I'm just excited about the future. Same thing with you though.
Hmm.
You've been working. So it's
Yeah,
all good.
it's
Isn't
been
it
crazy.
wild?
Been crazy. It's good though. I mean, we're both just kind of starting on this journey, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think we're at a good time for it because who knows where the profession will be in like 30, 40 years, like when we're ready to retire. But anyways, like I was thinking about, what I wanted to talk to you about with regards to your journey and like what you've been doing lately because I know there's been a lot of changes for you lately, right? Um
Sure.
but yeah, if you want to just start, like, if anyone who's listening to this, so a lot of the listeners are like pre-meds or like
Okay.
DO students, specifically who are interested obviously in like OMM or just like what options there are.
Okay.
uh so yeah, just
Yeah,
take it away.
absolutely. So, what was really unique about me was probably like you, we had some type of blueprint-esque of what we wanted to do and what we were envisioning. And then, life happens. So you got to pivot, modify things, opportunities evolve. But for me, I was deliberate in going the DO route. Like I applied
Yeah.
both in allopathically and osteopathically. But I was blessed with the fact that one of my best friends, she was a pharmacy student at LECOM. And so she was dating a DO student at LECOM. So that was really like my earliest exposure to osteopathic medicine. Other than that, I
Mm.
was just doing a lot of Googles because all
Yeah.
the doctors I had seen up until that standpoint were MDs.
Yeah.
So I had wrapped up my dietetics degree at Buffalo State. And so that was my earliest exposure to medicine. So what was interesting was like at my internship, you were required in my program to do a dietetics internship to graduate because you had to accumulate a certain amount of clinical hours
Mm.
to sit for your quote unquote board exam to be a registered dietitian. So it was tough for me finding like an internship that really vibed with me. I was super into sports nutrition, things of that nature, and a lot of the private practice groups had a safeguard, like they just didn't have the time or they weren't hitting me back. So
Yeah.
I reached out to my mentor, just like help, like I need these clinical hours to graduate. And she believed a lot in me, so she gave me a really rigorous rotation and set me up with a kidney transplant dietitian. That was my earliest exposure,
Hmm.
man, to medicine. Like at that point, right?
Hmm.
You're part of a multidisciplinary team because you have to be vetted psychologically. So there's going to be a social worker and a psychologist on the team. You got the dietitian that's dealing with you.
So they're vetting your brain. They're like, is this guy crazy or no?
Yeah,
That's
right,
insane.
right. I just, dude, like
That's
for
wild.
me, it was just like, and you're probably the same. Like you say yes to what you can, and if doors
Uh-huh.
are open, you're just like, let's just see what happens.
I
You know what I
say yes
mean?
to
Like,
everything, honestly.
yeah, and if I
It's a
didn't say
problem.
that, I wouldn't have met you, like point blank.
True.
So I get to that point, and I'm doing the rotation with the transplant dietitian, but I'm at the table with the nephrologist. I'm at the table with the renal transplant surgeon, and we're all talking as a team. So I'm
Mm.
starting to hear words like GFR,
Yeah.
creatine, BUN, hyperkalemia, hypokalemia, and
Mm.
I'm writing all these words down. Like I always carried a notebook
Yeah.
around, and you probably even saw that when I
Yeah.
was an
Yeah.
OMM scholar. And so I would just Google everything, man, when I would get home. And I would come home the next day and ask my dietetics advisor, preceptor rather, like all these questions. She was like, Alex, I can answer some of them, but a lot of these are out of my scope. Like, why don't you go talk to the transplant surgeon? And like it's intimidating, man. Like you see how they're presented on TV, and like he was the chief of surgery, right? Transplant surgery.
It's
Like
no
he was
joke.
the big deal.
Yeah.
But he was super down to earth, man. So like I walked by his door one day and I saw him checking emails, and I just like took that leap of faith. I knocked on the door, had my notebook in hand. Was confident, introduced myself with a strong handshake.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, I see you around. Like
Mhm.
with the questions that you ask and your interest, I honestly thought you were a med student. And then I realized you were a dietetic student. He was like, sit down, pull up a chair.
Yeah.
I'll answer anything, man. And that was really how it happened for me. And I know one of the questions you had for me was, what was the best piece of advice you got from a
Mhm.
mentor? It was from him. He was just like, go as far as possible. He
Mm.
believed in me first and foremost. He was like, you have the clinical acumen, the curiosity, and the competence and intellect
Mm.
to be a
To make
doctor.
it.
Like he
Yeah.
believed, yeah, to make
That's
it.
great.
And so I started, I wrapped up that rotation. He told me, he gave me his word. If you want to go into medicine, I'll be your first letter writer.
Wow.
And he was.
Mhm.
And so from that standpoint, man, like I started researching allopathic, osteopathic programs. And then, like I said, with my friend dating a guy at LECOM, it started leading just organically to osteopathic
Mhm.
medicine. I started reading the philosophy and the tenets.
Mhm.
And then that's when the light bulb went on. Like, what if I combine my dietetics foundation with the osteopathic pillars? Like, I really think that I could be a one-stop shop and really make an impact and an influence not only on the community but on medicine. And so, like that it just happened organically for me. So when I started trying to find mentorship when I got back home and passed my dietetics exam, most of the doctors that were agreeable and receptive were community doctors, primary care. So
Yeah.
that was my first exposure, man. They were down to earth, internists, some psychiatrists, but mostly family medicine and primary care.
Mm.
And I was really thinking through it. Where could I really make the most impactful and earliest intervention,
Yeah.
especially with the interest that I have? So it just made sense for me.
Yeah, and we're seeing that more and more. The emphasis is on like lifestyle, nutrition, movement.
Yeah.
That's what patients want, and I think that's why we're seeing an explosion in the growth of osteopathic students, DO schools. Um, so I'm curious, back to the educational point.
Yeah.
Uh, what was your journey like, through medical school? That's of course where we met, and your journey as an
Mhm.
OMEM scholar. Like, how do you think that influenced what you do now?
Yeah, great question. So, like when you hit the when you get to medical school, you have to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Like when I tried to watch YouTube videos to try to prepare me, and
Mm.
you hear the analogies like what
Drink from a
from a
fire hose.
firehouse, oh yeah, fire hose, or
Yeah.
run on the treadmill at full sprint. Like you just
Literally,
if
yeah.
you're not in it, you really can't describe it. It's wild. So, at PCOM, I don't know how it is now, but we worked on trimesters. So the first trimester, you're I was just knee deep in anatomy trying to stay afloat. Now, one of my best friends, still one of my best friends now, he had co-founded a nonprofit called Fourth Family, which I'm
Mhm,
now the director of medical education of.
mhm,
And he started it was created organically because he was a basketball coach, and one of his basketball players got murdered at a house party that my friend dropped him off at after a practice.
wow.
So my friend had to go to trial and be a witness, and he witnessed that mom losing his son. And because of that,
Yeah,
he promised that he would do whatever he could to get back to the community
wow,
and try to circumvent this from happening. And that's kind of how Fourth Family
wow, yeah,
blossomed, like grew,
mhm,
right? So at that point, I'm in my first trimester, first year medical student, and he grew from just providing after school opportunities for kids to play basketball to implementing the science and technology and STEM aspect to basketball. And so when I'm in Philly at PCOM, I'm like, bro, I'm starting to
mm,
hear about STEM plus M in the larger city areas.
mhm,
I go, anatomy's killing me right now.
yeah,
But if I'm able to survive and be successful, I really think that we should expand to the plus M and maybe make it osteopathic. And then when I told him about the whole
mhm,
DO difference, he's like, this sounds amazing.
mhm,
Let's see how we can collaborate and build upon that, right? So I get through the first trimester. I survive it. So I'm
mhm,
like, all right, I can do this. Then as I get through the second semester, I start doing the cellular molecular biology. I start
mhm,
crushing that. I'm getting 90s,
yeah,
95s. And I'm starting to find my identity and build my confidence level. So he starts randomly hitting me up with advertisements for his first
Mm.
STEM-based camp with Marcus Aldridge,
Oh, okay.
who was on the San
Yeah.
Antonio Spurs and a
Yeah.
perennial
NBA.
All-Star.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is
Hmm.
insane, but
Hmm.
I got to focus on just surviving medical
Yeah. Yeah.
school.
You're getting ready for
Yeah, you know what
boards,
I
right?
mean? So I just tell him, I'm like, yo, remember what I proposed about the plus M? If this actually comes to fruition, I want to be the dietitian for this camp.
Yeah.
So he's like, say less, it's yours.
Hmm.
So I get through the second semester, and then now I'm in the third trimester, and he sends me the final brochure, and now it's real. And he had secured a middle school, high school gym in the area. It was going to be a week-long camp. He had gotten officially sponsored by Jordan Brand.
Wow.
Wale the rapper
Yeah.
was agreeable to
He's from my
sponsoring.
he's
Like
from my
it was
area.
lit. It was lit at this
Hmm.
point. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
So I wrap up the end of my year, and I was still trying to figure out what I really wanted to do
Hmm.
within medicine, right? Like primary care was at the forefront for me because I told you I had that positive experience as a dietetic student. But like you get exposed to anesthesia and you hear
Yeah.
about the roads specialties and all that kind of stuff, radiology and anesthesia and derm and all that.
Hmm.
So I end up for the summer shadowing and working with a bariatric surgeon in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I would head straight to the camp
Hmm.
and then do nutrition education, sports nutrition at the LaMarcus Aldridge camp.
Mm.
Now, on like the second or third day of the camp, one of the camp members rolled their ankle doing a layup,
Mm.
and I did counter strain for the first
Yeah.
time.
Oh, that's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Hmm.
Now, like for me, starting off with OMM, I thought it was cool, but I wasn't giving it the respect and the attention that it deserved and it garnered.
And that's like common, right, with students. Yeah.
Absolutely, for
Hmm.
sure. And I'm going to keep it a buck with
Hmm.
that. So when I get to the camp and I see this guy with a swollen ankle that was likely sprained,
Yeah.
I'm like, let me see what I can
Hmm.
do. You know what I mean? Like I'm just coming in fresh off my first year. Let me see what happens. So I did the whole counter strain technique to his ankle, and lo and behold, like within 5-6 minutes, he was able to bear a little bit of weight, and he was like, yeah, like I have decent improvement. And that's when another light bulb went
Hmm.
on. Like, what if I really start investing in this and taking this seriously?
Hmm.
And all right, like I had heard some of the table members talking about this undergraduate
Yeah.
fellowship, right? OMM fellowship. And it was going in one ear and out the
Hmm.
other. But what happens if I circle back and tell them about the experience I had hands on?
Hmm.
What would happen if you have a dietitian who's a DO and really goes hard with the OMT? What could happen?
Hmm.
So we go into the second year. Dr. Hobson, she was
Yeah.
my preceptor
Hmm.
every year, man. I don't know if it was by design. So,
Yeah.
so she's floating to each OMM table, right? And she's asking everybody what they did over
Yeah.
their summer. And she gets to me, and I'm like, oh, I was dietitian at
Hmm.
LaMarcus Aldridge's San Antonio All-Star Spurs camp. And
Hmm.
she's like, what?
Yeah. She's
And
like,
I'm like, yeah, and I did some OMT during it. She's
uh-huh.
like, what? Who are
Yeah.
you? And where have you been? Like, we're looking for scholars that are passionate and interested in this. You should really think about it.
Uh-huh.
And so I read about the program. I talked it over with my wife, who was my girlfriend at
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
time. Medical school is expensive, especially the osteopathic schools, because you get a stipend and they reduce your tuition. So there
Yeah.
was that incentive for it. But I also looked at it for the long-term investment. I was then also studying the market back in my area, Albany. And dude, as of now, and it hasn't changed, unfortunately, I'm one of 3 DOs actively doing OMT.
Yep.
So I thought
In
about that,
all
like
of
what
like the
happens
Albany area,
exactly.
which
I
is
was like, what
millions of
happens if I
people.
bring all those skills back to my area? I flood the market and
Yeah.
create a monopoly and expose my community to more options of what is the potentiality of
Yeah.
healthcare and what more can be offered in that true DO difference.
Hmm.
So I applied to the fellowship program. I had my interview with the whole department, and they asked me, like, Alex, if we accept you, what does this look like?
Hmm.
I literally described what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to integrate dietetics and nutrition, hopefully through primary care. and I want to leverage the relationships that we have professionally with Fourth Family and just take it from there.
Mm.
And now Fourth Family is the official STEM plus M partner for the Junior NBA.
Oh,
And we
wow.
just signed
That's
it. Yeah, man,
amazing.
we just signed a partnership with Orlando Magic.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it came full circle.
So now we've kind of arrived to what you're doing nowadays. How would you describe like your practice, your day to day,
Sure.
and maybe eventually what your ultimate goal is that you want to accomplish just with your whole career? Like what is your vision?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So right now I work in a private practice. It's very unique because it's multidisciplinary physicians. We have endocrinology, gynecology, etc. But we also have
Wow.
primary care.
That's
Yeah, yeah, it's really
a
nice.
lot. Yeah.
It is. It is. Yeah, absolutely. And so I practice broad spectrum. I'm one of two doctors in my practice, and the rest are APPs
Mm.
under us. And so I do broad spectrum. Like I said, I do preventative health visits. One of my youngest patients is probably 2 weeks old. One of my oldest patients is 102 years old. So I see broad spectrum and everything in between.
Yeah.
So at 8 o'clock, I might have a Medicare visit. At 8:30, it could be a newborn visit. At 9 o'clock, it could be an OMT visit because
Mhm.
I've been able to negotiate that
Mm.
within the procedures of my practice where they
Sure.
respect that, they understand and recognize the therapeutic impact
Mhm.
of OMM to the profession. So I had that on my schedule, man.
Yeah.
Probably 3 or 4 days a week. And I also am doing heavy nutrition education.
Sure.
So it varies, wellness visits to couples nutrition education to couples talk therapy to
Wow.
one-on-one talk therapy. Like it's very robust and varied, and that's why I like primary care because I get bored easily.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do some. We're starting to do some steroid injections, so I'm going to be doing some more procedural stuff. Shout out to you. I still use my Hypervolt on a daily basis, my man.
That's
Yeah,
funny as
my,
hell.
my patients love the Hypervolt.
Mhm.
And I was just appointed as an assistant professor at Albany Med.
Mhm.
So I'm bringing on medical students,
And that's
mostly
allopathic, right? That's an MD school. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
That's huge.
So they're hungry
Yeah.
to learn not only about the nutrition, but also about the OMT.
Mhm.
Like I'm teaching them basic techniques that they can do,
And their
lymphatic
minds are
outlet,
like blown.
explorate. Mine is blown.
It's so
And the
great.
thing is, like they're able to see the therapeutic effect in real time.
Mhm.
Like see that improvement in tissue texture changes or see that improvement in the range of motion when you're doing the muscle energy techniques. I
Yeah.
have a patient that was referred to me because I'm like the internal referral system for all things
Yeah.
non-surgical musculoskeletal
Mhm.
and then weight management.
Mhm.
So I have like an infant that had torticollis.
Mhm.
And shout out to Dr. Patel,
Yeah.
formerly Dr. Shah, because he
Yeah.
was teaching those techniques back then, man.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm the only person in the area that's doing that. So
Yeah.
it just makes me proud to be a DO.
Mhm.
Outside of that, I formed just like you're forward thinking. I had created an LLC when I was back at
Mm.
PCOM and just sat on it. It was called Neotrition Brands, and I wanted to engage that entrepreneurial spirit and eventually start focusing more on nutrition education and consulting. But like medical
Mm.
school dominates your life.
Yeah.
So my parents paid for the attorney and the legal fees to be able to get that. And I just maintained that name and the LLC and everything that goes on to that till it was ready to launch,
Mm.
which was when I became an attendant.
Yeah.
And so a few wellness spas started approaching me and small businesses that were interested in branching out into the longevity field and the well spa fields. And they
Mhm.
were like, hey, we're starting to market GLPs. We're getting heavy into the weight management, but we want to do it the right way. We don't know anything about nutrition. Can you help us build programming? And I was like, say less. I have the
Mhm.
LLC, like
Yeah.
partner to. So these types of relationships just started blossoming together. And so people that follow me on social media are going to see that my newest partnership is with Vigor, and they're one of the most innovative, inventive aesthetic and
Mhm.
cosmetic wellness spas in the area.
Yeah.
And that's happen organically. So we're working together just to really change healthcare for the better. Um, Lastly, I'm also like, not only am I volunteer with For Family, but I also give back through boxing. So I'm a ringside physician with
Mhm.
USA Boxing,
Mhm.
and I usually volunteer my time quarterly. My cousin is the director of boxing for the city of Albany.
Mhm.
So he'll hit me up like, "Hey doc, I want to
Yeah.
organize this boxing bout, but you know,
Mhm.
medical legal, you have to have a physician there."
Sure.
And it's super cool because with my osteopathic lens, you can do those structural exams, look
Mhm.
at their posture, look at any deformities,
Yeah.
musculoskeletally. I've been in situations where I've noticed this shoulder separation before the doctor
Mhm.
I'm working with has, because you can see like their gait might be altered or the way that they're swinging
Mhm.
might be a little bit dysfunctional, and
Mhm.
you're able to call that fight or intervene and stop it before they have serious
Serious injury.
irreparable damage. So it's just like it's really fascinating the way things have evolved organically. It wasn't really me forcing it,
Mhm.
it was me understanding the impact, passion, and importance of holistic medicine and the foundation of what AT still was talking about centuries ago, man.
Yeah, what I tell students too, because being a professor full time, it's I'm giving a lot of advice. They're like, I'm so interested in all these things. How do I know what I should do, like at the end of all this, or what's my final goal? And I say, you got to find the intersection between, first of all, what you're passionate about, second of all, what you're good at, and third of all, what you can do to help the most people using those skills. And that's
Right,
kind of sounds like exactly what you've done, right? Like you entered into things just being curious, having
mm-hmm.
a background in dietetics and nutrition, going with the flow with the OMT stuff. Really, it's like these events happen in your life that looking back, you're like, wow, that was a big impactful thing. But it just
Right,
like it's like on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, someone like rolls their ankle, and you're just like, I don't know what to do, but I learned this thing in the OMM lab. But little do you know, it's like 10 years down the line, you're like, that was the moment. Like I was
right,
willing to take a leap and just use what I learned, and it actually
right.
helped someone, and that's what it's literally all about, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, like, I don't know if you recall, but we were at the Poconos for your lecture, and we were just
Oh, yeah.
chopping it up having dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I was just like picking your brain, like, where do you really see me going?
Yeah.
And you were like, Alex, I really see you flooding the market and creating the monopoly in the health, wellness, longevity space.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm doing
Yeah.
now, man.
That was
And
2 years ago, I think, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But you saw that, but like I took heed to it too.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's important. And this is going back to Buffalo when I had that transplant surgeon invest in me.
Mhm.
Like don't take it for granted when people are taking the time out of their day
Mm.
and putting that energy in you to write that letter or give you that advice, because they don't have to do that. How many times have we had people
Yeah.
that texted, hoping that they would mentor us or email them, and they've ignored us or given
Yeah.
us a coach.
And it coulda taken 5 minutes.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure, for sure. So
Yeah.
you owe that to that person to pay
Right.
that forward and rep them in the right way possible. So like I hope I'm making you proud, PCOM, Buff State, all the institutions that made me into the professional I am, and they're
Mhm.
continuing to grow me to higher levels.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the whole mentorship and exchange of ideas and the osteopathic way of thinking that I think separates us in many ways, not just in the way that we think about medicine, but in the way we think about life and the way we think about um, our colleagues, our peers, our students. I learn stuff from my patients and my students all the time, and I'm just like, I'm trying to be humble about everything and just be like, I'll ask my student, I'm like, do you know about this thing? And they're thinking I'm quizzing them, and they're like, oh, I don't know, what is it? I'm like, no, I don't know either. Can you look it up and like look that up real quick?
Right.
Um,
But that's
so
what makes
yeah,
us unique, I feel like, and that's why we've always vibed.
yeah.
We continue to be lifelong learners. You can always learn, man. And
Mhm.
medicine's beautiful because it's always changing and it's always going to evolve. Like I remember Veronica was my fellow,
Yep.
and or my scholar, whatever. And she was showing me your Instagram and was like, Dr. Alex King is going to be joining the team next year. And like, I saw you doing art,
Mm.
photography, and all this. I'm just like, this guy's different.
Yeah.
You know, like his aura, I want to be around. That's just a fact, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you came to the team, just your willingness to teach and learn, and your enthusiasm and your humility, it just like it was infectious. And that's why, like, I give, you know, like, you're one of my brothers, and so like whatever you need, someone like, say less, like, I got you.
Yeah. No,
I
I
know you do the
appreciate
same.
that. I'm just
For
trying to be a
sure.
good role model too now for like all these students I teach, and for people literally watching this. And this is why I wanted you to tell your story, because I think, you know, unfortunately, us being in the minority, right, of what you would want to become as a physician, the DO way, it's almost like people kind of stumble upon it or they fall into it. Like I totally fell into it. Um, but I think it's conversations like this where, you know, maybe someone's browsing YouTube, they go down some rabbit hole and they end up here and they're like, wait, like, and this has happened where I was at a PCOM alumni event. I think one of the current OMM fellows pulled me aside. He's like, dude, like I watched your video 4 years ago about OMM, and then I got into PCOM, and now I applied for and now I'm talking to you. This is crazy. I'm like, you
Yeah.
think this is crazy? I think this is crazy because I didn't know that my YouTube video would do this. I was just doing it to like put it out there.
Yeah.
So, but looping back into how medicine is changing, like you mentioned, I know
Yeah.
within your world and with culture as a whole, the whole GLP-1 phenomena
Mhm.
has totally changed the way that we approach, you know, metabolic syndromes, weight
Mhm.
loss, like even the discussion about nutrition and health. So, like, I'm really curious about your thoughts about GLP-1s globally. Like, do you think it's
Yeah.
good, bad, both? How do you use it as a tool?
Sure.
But yeah, I'm sure you could go like hours about this, but I'm just
Yeah. Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you got the little one sleeping, and we're on a timeline.
Oh,
So
wait, let me check. I can see her. Nah, she's chilling. She's chilling. We're good.
now, like, your question overall, I think it's impactful and it's a great modality, but we need to understand that it does not replace overall healthcare in like a holistic approach. You know, it's another intervention that can be used, but it needs to be tailored to the patient, just like anything else we
Yeah,
would
it's
do.
like a tool. It's not a cure-all for anything metabolic, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You come see me and you have stage 1 hypertension, you know, I might lead with the DASH diet. We could talk about a calcium channel blocker. You know, you might be somebody that benefits from a diuretic, but it's nice to have that a la carte and those options available. What I'm seeing now is a lot of my patients are going into it assuming that it's going to be almost like a Cinderella story, you know, like my
Yeah.
foot's going to fit into that shoe seamlessly. And I'm always transparent with my patients, and I tell my medical students and my colleagues this, like, don't hide or hold back on the information regarding side effects of medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have chat, they have AI. So if you don't tell them,
They're
they're
gonna
gonna
find
look at
out anyway.
yeah, for sure. Then what you risk is compromising that patient physician relationship, right?
Mm,
Because then it'd be like, why didn't Dr. King or Dr.
yeah.
Ford tell me this lisinopril would cause cough? I
Mm,
still would have taken it, but it would have been nice. I would have been reassured to know that.
yeah.
So I'll roll my
Mm,
stool around with them and be like, hey, these are the side effects. The main ones you need to consider are going to be the GI ones. So maybe constipation or diarrhea or heartburn, blah, 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 blah. And what's nice is, again, going back to stats, I'm the only primary care doctor, Alex, in my area that's also a registered dietitian.
yeah.
So I
That's
put
crazy.
that,
That's amazing
and so
though.
I'm
Yeah.
like, regardless of
Hmm.
whether or not I prescribe the medication, this GLP,
Mm,
B, insurance will even cover it, because a lot of the insurance in the area are making you jump through loopholes.
right. Right.
You know, these are
Yeah.
facts. Like, one insurer that says, well, you know, last year we required a BMI of 30 and some comorbidities. Now it's 35. Presently, it's 40, man. So I'm like,
Yeah.
insurance might not even cover this.
Yeah.
So this could be a moot point.
Hmm.
But let's say we do cover it, you still need to have the foundational nutritional skills
Hmm.
to be able to enhance what you have before we even put this injectable or this oral
Hmm.
medication on board. So if you're eating Whoppers and, Chick-fil-A daily, you're going to feel horrible. And this is going to be a moot point. Like,
Yeah.
why are we doing this? This is like being on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. So I had a direct paternalistic conversation on Friday with one of my patients. She's still not eating dietarily. I've made her customized meal plans. And I'm saying, hey, I'm doing this because I love and I care about you. You need to make sure that you're drinking the adequate amount of fluids. You have fiber because you need to have an adequate bowel regimen before
Mm.
you put this injectable in your body, or you're going to feel these effects. I'm telling you,
Mm.
I'm getting the discharge summaries of patients that have bowel obstructions because they're
Wow.
eating refined grains.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not doing this as a stare tactic. I'm doing this because I want the best for you and because we took a Hippocratic oath. So
Mm.
to make a long story short, I do think that it is a powerful medication. I like a lot of the studies showing the cardiometabolic and renal
Mm-hmm.
impacts on it positively. I've had some anecdotal
Mm-hmm.
results with like osteoarthritis and inflammation and pain management.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these people that are morbidly obese, like class 3 obesity, and it's not realistic for them to hit the ground running, no pun intended, with exercise. If we're able to get some weight off of the spine and the joints and get them moving more, that might help with the pain, help with their range of motion, and then help them to then strip away that injectable and get them more on a more holistic plan ultimately. So it
Yeah.
needs to be worth.
I'm curious too what your thoughts are, and you might be really passionate about this one, but what
Yeah.
are your thoughts about nutritional education in medical school and the status of that whole issue right now?
Oh, I love it. I love it. What's funny
Yeah.
is that I started my professorship in the first of the year. And so the clinical coordinator, I think Dr. Klaus, he went to every practice to introduce himself.
Mm.
And so when he got to mine, I told him about the hunger that's palpable in the med students he's sending me about nutrition
Yeah.
education. And they're actually lamenting about how they're only getting modules, man, just like the
Not
basic,
even like a live lecture or anything. Yeah.
just like click through
Yeah.
slides.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling them, like, you really need to take advantage while in the department. Like, I'm
Mm.
hungry, I'm motivated, I'm a young doctor.
Yeah.
Let's work together because I'm a native Albanian.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna want the community to thrive more than somebody that was born and raised and built here.
Wait,
So I'm
as an Albanian, you're not from Albania, you're from Albany.
already, yeah.
Is that really what you call it? You're
Yeah, man, native
That's
Albanian.
so funny, bro. Oh my god. Anyway, I was like, wait, what?
No, you're good.
Keep
You're
going.
good.
Keep going.
Yeah, but like he
Yeah.
was saying, like, like I gotta go back to the drawing board. But I'm hearing what you're
Yeah.
saying. Agree with that, and even just not to talk politics, but with everything with Robert Kennedy and the whole Trump administration, they're
Mhm.
pushing more than nutrition in medical
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited what that landscape looks like.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I'm not clairvoyant,
Mhm.
and so I I took that leap of faith, man, to go into medicine as a dietetic
Mhm.
student because of my passion and enthusiasm.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was rotating as a dietetic student early on. I just assumed all doctors knew about nutrition. And
Could
then
not
when
be
I get
further from the truth. Yeah.
right the hospital
Mhm.
and we're getting these consults for like carb controlled diets and
Mhm.
talking about phosphorus and sodium for our renal patients. I'm
Mhm.
like, this is kind of bread and butter. Like, why are we being
Yeah.
consulted?
Yeah.
I'm talking to more doctors. They're like, we're not even getting one lecture on this. Like,
Yeah.
it's by him in the Krebs cycle, my man.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, I was like, what if?
Mm.
And I was the first one, man, for my dietetics program to go to medical school. And it's scary, like
Mhm.
being the first to do anything
Mhm.
and potentially taking on loans and unnecessary debt and not even knowing if it's going to pan out and you're
Sure.
going to get through the program.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in walking by faith, not by sight. And
Right.
again, if I do that, we wouldn't be here right now. So everything's going full circle, and I'm really excited for the future for all of us as far as like longevity, functional medicine, and more like preventative.
Yeah, I think I'm curious too, like with your new role as a professor with this medical school, are you making
Mhm.
curricular changes and saying like, hey, you should include a lecture on this and this and this? Like,
Right, right.
what's your involvement? And if you could, let's say like we're like, all right, you're gonna be the dean of a medical school. How would you ideally structure nutritional education for medical students? Like, what do you think they really
Oh,
need to know? Like,
I love.
yeah, what would you
Yeah, I
do?
love. So right now it's kind of superficial, so I'm more of
Mm,
like a community preceptor role.
yeah.
So you come see me because they want Albany Med is, which I do applaud them. They're trying to expose medical students to primary care earlier
That's great.
and
Yeah.
get a positive relationship with it.
Mhm.
And again, I really think I'm in a unique situation because I'm not just doing the cookie cutter, Medicare,
Right.
Medicaid patient visits, like pediatric visits.
Mhm.
I'm showing you how you can really integrate and personalize it and tailor it to yourself and put your own imprint on it, like you do. Like
Mm.
I do the OMT. I know how to do cupping. I know how to do
Mhm.
dry needle. I
Mhm.
do all that in the umbrella of family medicine. Now, to your point, I think that instead of working in a silo, a lot of these medical schools should be working in concert with other graduate programs.
Yeah.
So, for
Interprofessional education, right? Yeah.
exactly, like
Mhm.
for example, at University of Buffalo, they have a medical school and they also have a dietetics program. So at my school or in my area, we have a dietetics program at Russell Sage. And so instead of siloing each other, we all have the same, or we should hopefully have the same goal, enhancing care, wellness, and helping people live longer, more fuller lives and expanding their health span.
Mhm.
So we should have dietitians as professors in these lecture halls and teaching at least the basic lifestyle medicine like nutritional counseling,
Yeah.
motivation interviewing, the recommended daily allowance for
Mm.
carbs, protein, and
Mhm.
fat. Um, Vetted evidence-based resources to be able to refer patients
Mhm.
so they're not
Just
so they're not
YouTubing
relying.
stuff, going with
Yeah,
like fad
or
diets. Yeah.
GPTing, AIing it, and relying on the local meathead or gym rat
Mhm.
in the area. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Got their information from the newest Muscle Fitness magazine. Like you're
Yeah.
getting it vetted sources. You don't have to be a nutrition expert, but you should at least be able to navigate the system and help your patients circumvent the pitfalls so they can be healthier.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. You know what's really cool? Shout out to Marley if you're watching this. I don't know if she does, but she's a student of mine who's really pushing for lifestyle medicine to get included into the new Rowan curriculum that I'm helping to
Mm,
restructure for first, second, third, fourth years. Um, I know the Academy of Lifestyle Medicine. I've been working with them to figure out ways to incorporate. I had a meeting actually with a doc from Loma Linda who they have like a platinum level integration of lifestyle
Loma Linda.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I totally recognize, like, as osteopathic physicians, if we're not talking about nutrition, what are we doing? Like, what do
Exactly.
you think we're composed of? We're composed of what we're eating. So, at a base level, um, again, as osteopaths, we think about the whole, and I think about the whole not just in one slice of time, but across the
Mhm,
full lifespan, right?
mhm.
Because I think a lot of physicians are just obsessed with these snapshots, right? Even with imaging, I tell my patients, I'm like, yeah, that MRI doesn't agree with what I'm clinically seeing because it's a snapshot of you laying down on your back in a stressful situation, right? Not really showing me how you're moving.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what this phrase means to you or this word
Yeah.
means to you. How can we eat osteopathically?
Ooh. Yeah. So simple is better, right?
Okay.
Minimal. In a perfect world, I would like to do like a farm to table type deal,
Yeah.
growing
I have to talk to you about this. I'll touch on this
yeah,
after, but keep going.
yeah, no problem. Like our food, our produce, our crops, and leveraging relationships with farmers in the area. um, we just get inundated, like with a lot of ultra processed foods,
Yeah.
and we're on a rat race on, go go go. And so a lot of times we're gravitating towards might not be the healthiest, but it sustains us at least for a brief time, and
Yeah.
that's what's contributing to these obesity epidemic that we're
And
seeing
cancers, right?
earlier. Yeah, that we're seeing earlier and
Mm.
earlier. I have 8 and 9 year olds with sleep apnea and fatty liver, man, and it's
9-year-olds, 8-year-olds with fatty liver. That's
those are
unreal.
facts.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart
That's
because
crazy.
we might have talked about this when I was a scholar, but I was 50, 60 pounds overweight when I was in high school. And my pediatrician did the best she did, but she was just telling my parents, just make sure he moves more,
Yeah.
standardize, sports activities, eat fruits and vegetables. And that was pretty much it. But like, I was still eating the cheesecakes and the sweetest fish. And
Mhm.
I was a latchkey kid because my parents both had to work. My
Yeah.
mom was a principal. My dad was in
Mhm.
manufacturing with
Yeah.
wonky hours. And I was a nerd. So like I studied a
Mhm.
lot. So they just were like, like he's gonna study, he's gonna do what he needs to do. But I was packing on the pounds,
Right,
man.
right, right.
When it got to 11th, 12th grade, I didn't have that self-confidence. I wanted to be happier.
Mhm.
I didn't want to hesitate to have to take my shirt off at a pool
Right, right,
party.
right.
I went to college with a new identity and just being
Uh-huh.
happy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And loving myself,
Yeah.
most importantly. And this is why I tell my pediatrics patients and my parents, like I'm being transparent and direct with you because I see me and your kids.
Yeah.
When I see you, I
Right,
see what
right,
my parents,
right.
and that's why I chose primary care, specifically family medicine,
Uh-huh.
but so I can not only share my own stories, but I can also equip you with the knowledge, the resources, and the tools
Mhm.
to intervene and help you earlier in life.
Yeah.
Because I know what this is going to look like
Yeah.
longitudinally, like you're talking about.
It's crazy too because there's a bias of thinking about health spans towards increasing the span of health at the end of life. But what I
Yes,
want to make more common is increasing the span of health at the beginning, right?
yes,
So thinking about how we are looking at nutrition for our right. I have a toddler. She's like, I'm like, what is she eating? Like, what is she getting at daycare? Like, what can we do to make sure she's getting her vegetables, making things more palatable? Making sure, I feed her like spicy food. I feed her like all this stuff where people are like, should you be feeding her that? I'm like, hey, if I'm
yeah,
eating it, she should try it, honestly, because I think it's amazing. But it's just, I think maximizing health span, not just on the tail end, but on that early end, right? And I think it really begins with, right, of course, nutrition, but also that physical education of, you know, PE really shouldn't just be like play dodgeball for an hour and then that's good. It's like, what are we teaching with our kids, like with respect to biomechanics, with respect to healthy sleep habits, with respect to stretching and meditation and yoga? Like, I think on that level is where we need to emphasize things because then I think kids will actually grow up even thinking with that osteopathic mindset, right? Of like
exactly.
not the quick fix, not the quick thing that you can just grab a bite and who cares what's in it, you know? And that actually brings me to, I guess we can wrap it up with this point and this story of and we're gonna need to work on this in the future, by the way. I'm already saying you're gonna help me. So uh
I got whatever you need, my man.
so if you look this up,
Yeah.
Rowan is starting a wellness village. So if you type in like Rowan Wellness Village, it's gonna
Yeah.
be I think like 200 acres or so next to the undergrad. And I'm on the steering committee, right? Like I'm one of the
Ooh,
visions for this project.
yeah.
And it's a residential community, assisted living, townhomes, single family homes, student housing, hotel, retail. Um, The concept is to create a blue zone, like an
Okay.
artificially create yeah, and you know about blue zones, right? So if you're
Of
listening and
course.
you're like, "What's a blue zone?" Blue zones
Yeah.
are where people routinely live to over 100 years old and have bigger health spans.
Yeah.
Like Loma Linda, California, right, is like the main one in the US. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about, I was like, well, if we can design a community, intergenerational community where health span is emphasized in almost every aspect of the community design, and it starts from nutrition and movement.
Hmm.
It's literally those two pillars, and the third pillar would be like community, right? So it's like
Sure.
if we're working as a community to grow everything on site organically, having those items being picked by our community and put into the teaching kitchens on the site,
Yeah.
farm to table, right? Like what you're saying, it's like walk 20 feet that way, we're cooking it over there. Um, and then with that, also having a whole fitness center on the second floor of those teaching kitchens where you're using that fuel you just ate to then make your and build your body up.
Love it.
So this is the whole concept, and we're actually hopefully going to break ground very soon.
Okay.
We just created the 200-page proposal for the president of Rowan, and it took a year plus. Um,
Wow.
but we will need people who know what they're talking about, like
Guidance.
you. So what I'm saying is like, this community is one of the first, I think, osteopathic communities with
Mhm.
blue zone principles that is purposely being designed. I think the investment is literal hundreds of millions of dollars into this.
Mhm.
Inspira Health is one of the big partners, and they're like one of the big systems in South Jersey.
Sure.
So yeah, I wanted to tell you. I don't think I told you about that project I've been
No,
working on, but that's what I
do it.
envision. It's like a whole community of thousands of people who
Yeah.
are thinking in this way, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about, their diet, health, movement, community. Because if we
Mhm.
look at the Power Nine principles of Blue Zones, right, that's what it's all about. It's like,
Yeah.
are you walking upstairs, up hills? Are you, not sitting for hours and hours a day? And what are you
Right.
eating, right? How are
Right.
you socializing? So, well, anyway, what are your thoughts about that whole thing?
Do it. It's a thing, like the first time I heard about Blue Zone was at
Mm.
Cleveland Clinic when I was training for
Yeah, I
residency.
wanted you to talk too about your experience there too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, hard work pays off. When I was finishing my career in medical school, I solidified that I wanted to go into family medicine and I wanted to go to the best.
Mm.
And um, because of the work I had put in, I was really able to enhance my resume, and I just had unique opportunities.
Yeah.
Um, and when I was a community dietitian, like my first job, I had briefly told you, I ran a nutrition program for an HIV nonprofit.
Mm.
3 days in, literally the building burned down because one of the refrigerators that we had
Whoa.
for fresh produce overheated.
Holy
So
crap.
yeah, man. So I showed up on that third day. Imagine this, for my first day of lecture, like nutrition
Mhm.
education for my clients. And I'm seeing my coworkers on the lawn of my building,
Mm.
teary eyed, hugging each other,
Oh my
fire
god.
trucks, everything. You can Google this.
That's
And
crazy.
and I'm getting closer, and they're like, Alex, we're so sorry. Like, you were such a fresh employee. We didn't have your number to call
Yeah.
you. So
You
so
just
I
show
tell the
up, there's a
yeah.
fire.
So I'm on the phone with Kelly,
Yeah.
my wife, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I think
Yeah.
something happened. So I asked the executive director, I'm like, do I have a job?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my
Should I
job,
just go
what? Like, this
home?
is my
Like,
job.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, we're gonna figure it out. So a Lutheran church, maybe half a mile down the road, man, took us in, and they renovated the entire second floor of the church in the cubicles. And I worked out of there, dude.
Wow.
And I used all the lectures that I had in storage from a dietetic student, and I built my own nutrition curriculum.
Wow.
Then got approved by the Department of Health. So I started to get momentum and attention from
Mm.
that because my group started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the contract manager then approached me and was like, I love what you're doing here. There's a public health nutritionist position opening up on the Department of Health level. Women's, infants, and
Mhm.
children
Mhm.
WIC
Yeah.
division is adding yogurt to the food card for breastfeeding women as an incentive to continue with
Mhm.
lactation.
Mhm.
But we don't have a standard of what healthy yogurt is.
Yeah.
We love what you did with this, and you took the lead with this team. How would you
Mm.
like to join
Yeah.
this team? At this point, dude, I knew I wanted to go to medical school. So all of that
Mhm.
was leading up to when I was applying to medical school and then the residency.
Mhm.
Like, they saw my leadership skills, my creativity,
Mhm.
and just my enthusiasm and passion.
Mhm.
So I ultimately like ended up interviewing at the best.
Yeah.
I did at Penn, University of Rochester, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic.
Mhm.
But Cleveland Clinic stood out to me, to my point, was
Mhm.
they were the only people during my interview that day, leading with entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
They were
Right. Right.
talking
Right.
about primary care,
Mhm.
concierge medicine,
Yeah.
building your own practice, and
Mhm.
they were saying you're going to get exposure to that when
Mhm.
you rotate with us.
Yeah.
We have alum that are doing that. You can
Mhm.
tap into. And I was like, this is where I need to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so I hit the ground running when I started as a resident there. During my first year, which is this is a super cool story. In my first year of
Mhm.
residency, remember I was that first class coming in the 2020 merger,
Yeah. The
with right
ACGME
with
merger. Yeah.
programs.
Mhm.
So the Atlantic wanted to do a story
Mhm.
on how the residents felt at that merger. And so they actually contacted Cleveland Clinic's family medicine program.
Yeah.
That's how I started becoming a columnist for the
Mhm.
DL. They,
Oh,
I
nice.
was,
Okay.
yeah, man.
And if
Like
you
they
guys
all,
listening don't know, the DO is the AOA's magazine, main magazine. Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
shout out to them for giving me a chance. So I was the only resident that responded to the program director's email to to talk to
Classic. I'm a
the
PD myself. I
reporters.
know what that's like. Yeah. Like,
I
are
was the
y'all
only
deaf or
one.
something? Like,
But this is what you're talking about, just saying yes to things.
yep, just responding.
So,
Yeah.
right. So you know Ernst, but before
I know
Ernst,
Ernst. Yeah. Shout out to Ernst.
Ernst. So before Ernst, the
Yeah.
other editor of the DL, the AOA, they wanted to vet me
Yeah.
before I was interviewed for the Atlantic interview. And so when they were asking me about my background, I told
Mm.
them I was a dietitian, and they were like, "This is crazy because we get approached for contributions, media contributions about nutrition, and we have
Yeah,
like
we don't have
no
anyone. Yeah.
nutrition experts.
Hmm.
Would you be interested?" I was like, "Absolutely, I'll do anything."
Yeah.
So I did the Atlantic interview. They ended up going another direction, so that didn't get published.
Mm.
But they then followed back up like, "Hey, there's new dietary guidelines coming out. Could you write us an article? This will be your one shot, and we'll see what happens."
Yeah.
Knocked it out in a weekend, gave it to the editor. Feedback, she was like, "This is incredible. Like, you're a natural at writing.
Hmm.
Would you like to continue doing this?" I was like, "Absolutely.
Hmm.
Send me whatever." Dude, I think by the time I finished residency, I had contributed to 33 to 35 media contributions. I
Wow.
was doing every 1 to 2
That's
weeks.
amazing. Yeah.
And I'm exhausted, but like you just do it because this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I don't care if I was like I had just done a 24-hour call,
Yeah.
I had delivered a
Hmm.
baby, I took that extra
Hmm.
shot of espresso,
Yeah. You're like, let me just knock this out. Yeah.
and I just out. And so that's really what happened. And I built that momentum, and I started getting calls from Men's Health,
Yeah.
uh, Living Healthy, Good Housekeeping. Like that's how that kind of stuff happened. You got
Hmm.
to say yes, step out on faith, but you got to be prepared too.
Yeah. So I just got the little 5-minute warning thing. I didn't even know there was a time limit. Anyway, I'm like, so I guess we'll leave it at this last thing. If you could give any message or words to someone watching this, whether
Yep.
maybe let's say they're like an osteopathic student or pre-med who's just kind of like lost, or like, what is this stuff about being a DO or like being an osteopath or an osteopathic physician, like, do you have any words of wisdom, I would say, for someone
For,
watching?
for sure, for sure. So specifically for us two,
Mm.
I'm confident you're going to share our contact info and our social
Yeah, yeah,
media.
yeah.
And
Of course,
we're
yeah.
very approachable.
Very, yeah.
So send us a DM, send us a
Put a
message.
comment
Take that,
below too, yeah.
you know what I mean? Nothing ventured is nothing gained.
Mhm.
And how many friends, family members, colleagues we train with aren't with us anymore? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not promised.
Very
And
true.
if people didn't believe in me, if people didn't give me that
Mm.
opportunity, if I didn't believe in myself,
Mhm.
and if I wasn't driven to create my own identity in healthcare,
Mhm.
then I wouldn't be here, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be making the waves and the impact I am in my community. So if you have an idea, if you have a passion, if you're motivated by something and you're inspired, make it make sense, and then get around people that are going to support you and make that idea materialize into something real.
Dr. Ford, that was magical. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, my guy.